Hi guys, it's your boy I. Artificial but not intelligent. Anyways, what if one random day you wake up and suddenly turn into a girl just like Anamai? You and me already know what to do next. Try out some sweets because they say women has a better sense of taste. See, look, I looked it up. Anyways, that phenomenon will suddenly happen to our boy Mememori-kun. And before starting, here's the title. One weekend morning, the phone alarm went off. He set it for him to wake up early to enjoy the weekend. But as per usual, he has a hard time getting up. And he thought that this day would just be a typical day. But as he looked in the mirror, he became a she. And that's what I'll be referring to her now. After slapping herself and confirming that it isn't a dream, she scanned herself to see what the changes were. Her body shrunk, a pace saying it's a fair size, but and her wee-wee is gone, which made her sad. Looking back, the reason why she probably turned into a girl is because she answered a pop-up ad that won't close. Remembering the answers she wrote while looking at herself matching the answers and recalling that she answered that she wanted to become a girl. She shouted that she liked to turn into a girl, but she didn't say she wanted it. The floor here is made out of floor. Realizing that this will be her new body and face, and may never turn back into a boy, she is fine with it, and she doesn't really care. It is what it is. She really doesn't know how it works, but she became a beauty now. Her sister is hotter, by the way, just you wait. And with that, she wanted to start the day by showing herself to his homie, wondering what's his reaction will be when he'll see her. After making her way to his friend's house, she called him, and with the phone ringing, waked his friend up. Answering the phone and hearing a girl's voice in the other line, he asked who he's speaking to. Memori answering it's Memori got him confused and asked about her voice, but she brushed it off and saying that she's already at the front of his house. Walking down the stairs grumbling, he opened the door asking what he wanted early in the morning, and there he saw her. Showing herself at him and telling him that she became a girl, the first thing he said is asking who she is. Telling him that she's Memori, he denies it, telling her that there's no way, he just became a girl. But she cuts him off mid-sentence and telling him that she really just woke up and became a girl. But he's still not buying it. Observing her more, her speech pattern is similar to Memori's, which leads to his conclusion that he's just cross-dressing. He pats her head telling her that it was a good prank and compliments her for her cuteness and feels her up, telling it that it feels so real.
It should have been me, not him!
With a justified smack, he goes to the ground and screamed at him that she can't just touch her everywhere just because she looks cute. And with an angry tone, she says can't believe that he just casually feel her up. Getting up from the ground, he still doesn't believe her, and so, as a last question, as his best friend, he should know the size of his wee-wee. And she answered by whispering that it's 10 inches.
It's not fair!
He tells her that she's right and believes her because the only one who knows the size of it is her, and with that, he invites her in. Going inside, she invites him to play some games and he agrees, but wants to play a different game than the usual. With a worried look, she agrees. He just wants her to try on some dress. With a puzzled expression, she asked why, telling him that now that she became such a beauty, she should try wearing some clothes like these. And with that, she agrees excitedly and wants to try it. Before trying it on, she asked him if it's really okay to try it since it's her sister's clothes, and he said it's fine as long as they won't get caught. And with that, she started changing before kicking him out of the room. Some time later, she said she's ready and was okay for him to come in now. She's starting showing it off and compliments herself for looking great in anything. Noticing that his best friend is silent, she started taunting him, asking if he's stunned by her looks. Then he grabbed her arms and starts complimenting her to the point that she started blushing. With her face all red and eyes looking to the side, she tells him that he's overreacting. But she wants to draw the line that she is still the same, and while stuttering she spoke that even if she became a beauty, he mustn't fall for her. But he apologized, saying he cannot guarantee it, and loudly exclaimed that she became such a cutie, he can't foresee what he'll think of her in the future. She loudly replied back, saying that future won't ever come true because all of this just came out of the blue and she might turn back the next day, and asking him if he's alright with that. With a serious and resolute face, he confidently said that he doesn't mind. So plot twist, he's gay from the beginning, saying it doesn't matter, he'll still love her in any shape or form. After the whole proposing thing, he really asked him that what if she really won't turn back? There's a lot of mystery and question, but they brushed it off again and asked if she wanted to cosplay. And with a radiant smile, she agreed. The story continues with Memori telling Kasugi that's his name. I noticed I never said her name in the first one. That he can't return back to a boy, and asking him if he still wants to be her friend. And as his homie, he says no matter what your body is, you'll always be my best friend. Turns out that it was only a dream. And that is the intro of this next chapter. As Kasugi waits for Memori, he started fantasizing how she looks and starts shivering, making the other person beside him get worried. He thought that all that was yesterday was some kind of dream and it never actually happened, but then a female voice called out his name. It was Memori, who called him, wearing a schoolgirl uniform with a little sweat coming down her cheek, probably from running. He gets stunned for a few seconds, starts to pat her down, then hugging her, saying it wasn't a dream. Memori recoiled from the sudden hug, then screamed to him what he's doing. But Kasugi just brushed it off and asked what's up with her getup. Memori explained that her clothes are too oversized, so she doesn't have a choice. With Kasugi looking up, imagining that scenario. Memori, with a smug pose, says that at least the clothes suit her because she is cute, and Kasugi agrees. With that, the both of them started heading to school, but asks if she's alright with this, saying that the entire class will be shocked. Memori, being Memori, says that it will be okay, and to just stay positive. In the next scene, we see that they're already in the gym, meaning everything went fine, and we see Memori playing basketball with the girls. With her complimenting her that she's a goddess in sports, and Memori complimenting back that it's because of the good pass she made. While Kasugi and another classmate is just watching. The classmate calls for Kasugi and asks if she really is Memori. And Kasugi confirms that she really did turn into a girl just the other day, but the classmate doesn't believe him and asks again if that's really her, and Kasugi again just confirms. Then he explains that he and all the boys saw her almost taking her clothes off at the start of PE class, confirming that she's a girl. With Kasugi stopping right before she's about to unbutton the last one, reminding her that she's a girl now. The classmate says he thought she was a boy, believing that she was never a guy in the beginning, and still can't believe that someone can just turn into a girl. Then Kasugi once again points at Memori and says that it's possible. After that conversation, Memori grabbed Kasugi's attention by waving her arms, calling him, and asking if he saw her shot while approaching the both of them. Kasugi says he saw it, saying it was a lovely shot. Memori explains that her new body and height makes it a little difficult, but once she got used to it, it became fun. And while both of them were having a casual chat, the classmate was staring at both of them, which they both noticed. Memori approaches him and asks if he still doesn't believe that she's Memori. He answers that it's obvious that she's not him. Then she saw that he scraped his knee, then advises him to disinfect it so it won't get an infection. After going back to the game, the classmate calls out Kasugi and starts believing that she really is Memori. I don't know why, but let's just continue. Meeting back up with her team for the second round, she makes a fist bump and says to the other girls that they'll definitely beat them, and the girls blushed, rising up not just the boys, but also the girls. When dismissal came, Kasugi calls out Memori, asking if she wanted to go to the arcade, but glancing to see Memori, he got surprised because the class has surrounded her, asking her a lot of questions. Seeing that Memori is becoming popular and chatting with other people, he felt lonely with this expression. After some of her classmates dispersed, she called out Kasugi to go home and looked at his table, but saw that he isn't there. Kasugi is already at the entrance of the school, changing his shoes and thinking that she should be fine, and thought that it was her very first time being surrounded like that. He said to himself while chuckling that he never went home without her, and is glad that she's enjoying herself and happy that her best friend became very popular. Then felt alone and whispers that he's a bit lonely. Then loudly laughs, pushing away that lonely feeling, and says that it's fine, he can't be Memori's partner forever. But then suddenly Memori loudly says that she finally found him. Looking at Memori, she was all tired and exhausted, probably from running all around the school looking for Kasugi. Kasugi asks why she's here. Then, with an angry expression, Memori grabbed Kasugi and loudly asks if he had forgotten that he shouldn't treat her differently, and nothing has changed. Kasugi apologizes and says that she saw her having fun with everyone and just thought that it would be rude to interrupt. Memori covers her smile with her hand, trying not to laugh. She told her that indeed, she suddenly became popular because she became a girl. However, it won't matter if she's a boy or a girl. It doesn't change the fact that he is his best friend. And with that, he tells that it's time to go, but noticing that he isn't moving, he goes back to check if he's alright and saw his face all red, clearly blushing, and after some back and forth they decided to hit up the arcade, but before leaving, a girl notices them and whispers, "Memori-senpai?" Yuri. We start off part 3 with Memori napping in class. Then suddenly jolts up and loudly says she'll have some more. With her still being half-conscious, Kasugi bonks her to wake her up and asks what she's dreaming about. Then Memori tells him that he promised to take her for some Japanese barbecue. And with a smile, Kasugi tells her that he did, but only in her dreams. With Memori being fully awake, he tells her that they should head home now, but suddenly Memori saw that someone texted her. Memori calls out Kasugi and tells him that she has something to attend to. He asks if it's something quick, and Memori replies that she doesn't know and tells him that he can go home without her if she isn't back in 10 minutes. In the next panel, we see that it's in the back of the school and see a girl saying that she's nervous. Her heart's racing badly and tells herself that maybe she should just go home, but shakes the nervousness off and loudly denies it, saying that today is the day she would finally confess her love to Memori-senpai. Then she glances at the dog keychain, and here we see the reason why she fell in love to Memori. During open campus, she was lost, not knowing where to go. Then Memori approached her. She nervously explains everything. Then Memori noticed that she's clutching a Shiba keychain. He points it out and says that it's cute. Then he brings out his own Shiba keychain and says he also has one. Since that day, she started falling in love more and more, but recalls that she also had been failing to confess again and again. So today she vowed to herself that she would definitely confess to her and started praying to her Shiba Inu keychain. Then Memori finally came and apologizes for letting her wait, but her sudden call startled her. She turns around, but what she saw is a person she did not recognize. After some time explaining everything to her, she wants her to confirm that she's Memori-senpai, but suddenly turned into a girl. And with a wide grin, Memori confirms. She then tells her that all the boys in her class shat themselves. They stared at her face, all red, all embarrassed, and she find it super funny. Then praises herself, saying being such a cute girl like herself, she is quite hard to resist. But with all that sudden explanation, she got all confused and doesn't know what's going on. She contemplates to herself if it's true that she really turned into a girl and asks herself if she really is Memori-senpai. She glances at her and thinks that she doesn't seem to be lying. With her looking closely at Memori, she asks if she has something on her face. She says no and tells her that she just has a really cute face. After that, Memori closes up to her, grabbing her back and about to hug her, saying, "Is that so?" But she got flustered by the whole thing and backs up quickly, making Memori confused and asks what's wrong, and she nervously replies that it's nothing. Then she remembers that she has to confess. She loudly says "senpai," startling Memori, and replies that she's listening. But with a throbbing heart, she tries to confess, but can't properly blurt out what she wants to say. Then she thinks for a moment that now that her senpai became a girl, what now? She thinks about Memori and thought to herself that there must be things that she's struggling with and thinking that she should take the lead. And by doing so, she can make Memori fall for her imagining herself carrying Memori. But pushes all of that thought off and saying that it's all indecent, but also saying that it doesn't sound too bad. Memori, seeing all the actions she's making, she calls her name Hinata and asks if she's all right. Noticing that she's too close to her, she flinches back and asks what she's doing. Memori replies, "That's her line." Then says she would be happy to listen to what she wants to say and will gladly help with any problems she has. Hinata collects herself for a moment, then asks if it's okay if she says something odd. Memori got confused by that question, but says that it's fine. Then Hinata holds Memori's hand and asks her senpai if she can become her girlfriend. Yuri. They both looked at each other for a moment. Memori, taken aback by what she just said, asks to come again. Hinata pulls Memori closer and tells her that now that she has become a girl, there must be tons of things she doesn't know. Memori confirms it and says there are some habits that she has to change. Hinata asks what she usually wears and tells her she wore the clothes when he was a young boy. Yeah. She loudly says she shouldn't wear those and scolds her for wearing those while having a cute face. She asks if she's free on Sunday, and Memori confirms that she's free. Therefore, with a determined face, she loudly tells her that they would go shopping then. Hinata tells her all the clothes they should buy and shops they should be visiting, making Memori overwhelmed. Memori grabs Hinata's attention and tries to avoid going through all that, not wanting to go, but Hinata grabs Memori and says to trust her, that she would turn her into a woman. Yuri. Memori misunderstands and tells Hinata that she's quite indecent, and Hinata explains herself, saying that she didn't mean it like that. Memori laughs, just teasing her, and says that she would put her faith in her and calls her Hinata-senpai, which made Hinata blush. After that, they both decided to head home and chatting what time they should meet up, then see Kasugi standing at the gate. Memori asks why he's still here and replies that he's waiting for her. Yaoi. Seeing that Hinata is with her, Kasugi casually greets her and greets him back. Memori asks if they both know each other, and Kasugi tells her that they both are in the student committee. Then Kasugi asks what they were both doing together and jokingly asks if it was a love confession. Hinata, with her face all red, loudly says no, and Memori casually denies it, but holds Hinata's shoulder and tells Kasugi that she promised her a date and they were just planning it out. Both Hinata and Kasugi got shocked. Then yanks Memori and says that she's sly, but can't date a cute girl like Hinata that easily. Thinking that she's lying, Memori tries to flex at Kasugi that she promised they're gonna go visit shops together, but Hinata loudly says that it's not a date, and loudly exclaims that she just wanted senpai to make her a woman. Yuri. Kasugi got shocked by Hinata's confession, and Memori tells her that she really is being indecent today. After that, the three of them walked home with Hinata all embarrassed, and Kasugi asks if he can tag along, but Memori shuts him down, saying that no boys allowed. In the next scene, we see that Hinata is already at home and talking to someone on the phone, telling the person in the line what had all happened and saying that she finally got a date with Memori. The other person on the line congratulates her and asks if the confession pan out great then. But Hinata freezes for a while, not saying anything. Being silent for a while, the person calls for her name. Then Hinata replies back that she forgot to say it. And with that, Hinata's confession have failed again. That's where chapter 3 ended. But don't click off yet, because I decided to add the extra chapter. We start off at Kasugi's home, opening the door, and says that he's gonna go buy some stuff, and asks if she wants to tag along, but replies that he can go on his own. Kasugi narrates that her name is Kyoko, she's her little sister, and has a deadpan face. Kasugi asks again that he's going for a stroll at night, and invites her, but she again declines. Then, as a last coax, he tells her that he's gonna get ice cream, which made her pause, then turns around, and saying that she'll go. And in his mind, he thinks that she's cute. After going out from the store, they walked back home, with Kyoko munching on the ice cream. Kasugi, being a concerned older brother, questions, "Isn't it a bit cold to have that right now?" Kyoko replies Weaver, and he replies back telling her to speak when she's done chewing. Then, as he's shyly about to ask her something, she cuts him off and asks if he's about to ask something dirty. He quickly says no, then tells her that she's always up late studying for her entrance exams and asks if she's stressed out, and as his older brother, he's worried. Then she finally found out why she eagerly wants to take her out. She asks if she took her out to get her mind off studying, and Kasugi agrees but asks her not say it out loud because it's embarrassing. Kyoko says that she would be happy if she's able to go to the same school as his big brother, that's why she's studying hard. We start off chapter 4 with Hinata choosing clothes for her big date. She calls out Kyoko, calling her Kyo-chan, and asks her if these clothes will suit her. and she tells her that it's cute but she still isn't sure. So she wears another one and asks Kyoko again, and tells her that it looks cute. Then another one wearing her school uniform and tells her that it's cute. Noticing that she isn't paying attention, she got angry and yells at her to take it seriously. With Hinata pinning her to the bed, Kyo-chan tells her that she did and tells her that everything fits her very well. But Hinata cries loudly, saying that she's going out with her beloved senpai and wants it to be flawless. Kyo-chan tells her that she's worrying too much and asks how did she even manage to land a date with her like that. Then she recalled what had happened. That day she found out that she turned into a girl all of a sudden, with her fidgeting, not knowing what to do. But slowly, they found something uncommon to talk about. And no matter what form she is in, her feelings towards Mememori didn't waver. Then she recalls the weird stuff she said to her senpai which leads to them going out together. She hugs Kyo-chan and asks what should she do now. Hinata cries and Kyo-chan started patting her head to calm her down and tells her that it doesn't matter if he's older than you. Since he became a she, you're now the senpai. She slaps her rear, then Hinata jumps up and tells her that she's right. Then Kyo-chan tells her to straighten her back and do her best, with Hinata replying yes sir. Then reminds her to actually confess this time, which she nervously agrees. The next day, the day planned for the date, we see Hinata sighing and saying she had worn the same outfit she'd always wear. Then yawns and thoughts to herself that she didn't even get enough sleep last night. But slaps herself because it's go time and Kyo-chan is cheering her on. She tells herself that there's still time left, so, until then, she should calm herself down. But she shuddered when somebody told her that she's already here. It was Mememori and greets her good morning. Hinata greets back and asks if she had mistaken the time because she's quite early. But she tells her no, and was just looking forward to going out with her that she ended up coming early. Hinata suddenly turns around and tells herself that she can't break into a smile now while Mememori is all confused trying to get her attention. With her calming down, she says that they should now go visit some shops. Hinata tells her that all the shops here are worth checking out, so she tells her to let her know if anything catches her eye. And with that, we see them visiting shops together. After that, we see them at a store with Mememori in the changing room with Hinata asking Mememori if she's almost done. Then Mememori comes out and asks if it suits her. I would personally rate it a 10, loose or baggy clothes long enough to cover the rear, while having tight pants is always a 10 for me. Hinata was frozen solid. Hard. And screams in her mind that she loves it, but slaps herself and says she can't say that. She calmly says it suits her perfectly and asks her to try on other clothes, which she complies. She smugly comes out, poses and asks her opinions on both. Then asks Hinata to confirm that they're great. But Hinata noticed something. Hinata loudly says no, she's wrong. Then reminds her that they came here today to get women outfits and tells her to choose something cute. With a sad pose, Mememori tells her that she didn't forget but doesn't know how to pick. And with that, Hinata asks if she'll mind choosing clothes for her, and Mememori gives her the okay. She dashes off and quickly comes back with some clothes, making Mememori shocked by how fast she is. Then Hinata pushes her into the changing room, telling her to try it on now. And while Mememori is changing, Hinata pokes her head and telling her that if there's anything she doesn't get, to just call her. Making Mememori jump up by her abrupt call, and then left her being startled and shocked by the whole thing. After some time while Hinata was looking at clothes, Mememori calls for her. Then shows the dress she put on and asks if it suits her. She then closes up to her and tells her she's real damn cute. She circles around her complimenting her figure and how the dress pairs up good with her thin waist, making it look perfect. Mememori, overwhelmed with all the praise and attention, asks Hinata for her to try on some dress too, like the one on the basket she picked, thinking that it would suit her. But she declines and tells her that she doesn't think she could pull this one off yet. Then she tells her to try on some more cute clothes. After choosing clothes, they now are headed to an undergarment store.
Wow.
With Mememori freezing in place, Hinata notices and asks if there's something wrong. She tells her that it's her first time in this kind of store, and asks if she's even allowed to enter. Hinata reminds her that she's a girl now, and there shouldn't be a problem here. But Memori still resists to enter, and says she was a healthy young guy once, and says that this is too shameful. Then she flinches when Hinata called her, and seriously says that they're going in. With Memori not having any other choices, she agreed.
Wow.
Memori holding a slim one. She's curious if girls really wear this and asks what's even the point on some of these things. Hinata approaches her and asks if she found something she likes, then sees she's holding something transparent. With Hinata having that reaction, she asks why she's looking at her like that. Then Memori innocently asks what these are. And Hinata says that it's for special purposes. But Memori still doesn't get it. Hinata tries to think of how to put it in other words, but just came out and says they're for indecent stuff. With that, Memori gets it and tells her that she should have just said they're for lovers, and see Hinata all red from embarrassment. Then asks if she has some of her own since she knew what they were. She blushes and turns even redder and loudly says to stop teasing her, which Memori apologizes. Hinata led her to the simple section because they're cheaper, and with that they started choosing. But then Hinata asks for a moment, then suddenly measures her to know her size. With that, Hinata started choosing some and left Memori all startled and shocked again. Then she runs away saying Hinata is a lady killer, leaving Hinata all confused. And with that, the day has ended. Memori thanks Hinata and says it was a great shopping trip, but Hinata was all sad thinking that she wasn't able to escort her properly. Then Memori calls her name, then reaches out a bag. Hinata asks what it is, and Memori says it's a thank you gift. She saw her looking at the clothes a while ago and decided to buy it thinking that she wanted it. Hinata tries to deny it, saying she didn't do anything to deserve it. But Memori tells her that she dragged her here, helping her choose dresses and underwear for her. Hinata again declines, saying that those cute clothes are just not for her. Then with a serious look, Memori says that Hinata wearing this would definitely make her cute. She pats her back and encourages her to have more confidence. So she finally accepted it. Memori then says that next time they decided to go out, she should wear it. Hinata tries to object, but Memori cuts him off and asks if she's wrong. She had chosen those clothes mainly because she was looking at it a lot at the shop. Then says she'll wear the one that she picked for her next time too when they'll go out, and says it's going to be like a fashion show. She pats her head and tells her that she's looking forward to their next date and tells her to not forget it. And with that, they went their separate ways, and in her mind she thanks Memori because she always knows what exactly she needs to hear. She feels happy for a moment, then freezes, realizing that she failed to confess once again. Chapter 5 begins with Hinata going to Kyoko's residence. The first thing that Kyoko asks Hinata as soon as they're seated is how did the date with Memori went. Hinata was taken aback by Kyoko calling it a date, with Kyoko saying that she has a nice reaction. Hinata replies that there were some hiccups along the way, but going out with Senpai was super fun. Then she told her that next time they go out, they promised each other to wear the clothes they bought for each other. Kyoko praises her for that, then asks if she finally confessed to her, but Hinata freezes again. Hinata averts her eye, looking sideways as Kyoko repeats the question, then closes up to her and asks her again if she confessed. Kyoko, already knowing what the answer is, pokes Hinata's cheek and asks what is she doing. Hinata apologizes, but Kyoko comforts her, saying she already had a feeling. Then tells her that it's fine since the two of them seems to be getting closer, and tells her to go at her own pace. Hinata thanks Kyoko as she pats her head, then the door opened with someone saying they're home. It was Kasugi and greets her younger sister, then sees that Hinata is with her and greets her too, with Hinata surprised greeting him back. Kyoko asks if they know each other and Kasugi confirms. Then Hinata surprised asks Kyoko why didn't she inform her about this. But Kyo-chan just kept munching on her ice cream. Then Kasugi goes up to Kyoko and asks her too as to why she didn't tell her about this. Kyoko asks what he's talking about. Kasugi asks when did she made a cute friend like Hinata and why didn't she informed him about it. With Hinata hearing the questions, he then tells Kyoko that as his big brother, she should introduce her friend to him. Kyoko, sensing something off, asks what he's aiming for and says what a turn off. Kasugi, having a sister complex, tries to fix the misunderstanding and tells her that he's just looking out for her. While the siblings are having an argument and Hinata not knowing what to say, another person walks in. It was Memori, and as she's walking in, she tells Kyoko that she got the game she requested, but as she's finishing her sentence, she looks up and sees Hinata is with them. Hinata blushes and got surprised by Memori's unexpected entrance. She jumps up to Kyoko and asks why Memori's here. Kyoko, all confused, asks what does she mean, then greets Memori with Memori greeting her back. Hinata again asks what's going on. Then Kyoko finally tells her that Mememori-kun is both their childhood friend. Processing all the information, Hinata tells Kyoko that she should have told her these things. After all that, Kyoko asks if they'll play games and asks if they can join too. Memori says yes, but Kasugi calls out her sister. He tells her that before making decisions like that, she should have asked Hinata first if she wanted to play. But Kyoko just ignores him, so he asked Hinata if she wanted to play with them. She says that she doesn't really play games, and as she's about to decline, Kyoko puts her hand to her shoulder and tells her that this is her chance to get closer to Memori and asks if she really wants to pass on it. After that, she loudly says she's inexperienced, but she'll do her best, with Kyoko cheering for her and Kasugi asking what did she whisper to her. With all that settled, the siblings sandwiched Hinata, with both of them teaching her the basics. Then Memori tells everyone that they should do a team battle. And with that, the game starts with a 3v1 battle. Hinata asks why Kyo-chan would play solo, then Memori explains to her that Kyoko is actually one of the top players in Japan. After that, both Kasugi and Memori reminisce about the times they introduced her to gaming and saying that they created a monster, but asks the both of them what they're talking about. So with that, the battle starts. Here we see Memori frustrated because she can't land a hit, while Kyoko is just calm with a deadpan face, but clicking very fast. With them not being able to touch Kyoko, they decided to do close combat and overwhelm her. But Kyoko just easily dodged all their strikes, calling them naive, then tells his big bro that his back is completely open. He's out. Memori screams at him and tells him what he's doing, but Kasugi just apologizes, saying that he panicked. With just Hinata and Memori left, Kyoko taunts them both. But Memori fights back, saying they aren't scrubs. She assures Hinata, saying she'll always protect her, with Hinata blushing by what she just said. And with that, it's go time. She's out. Joa. Memori apologizes to Hinata because she wasn't able to protect her, but Hinata reassures her that it's fine. With that, round 2 begins with a 2v2 between best friends, but before starting, Memori whispered to Kasugi about something. Then Kasugi raises his hand, calling her Kyoko-san, then asks to give them a handicap. Kyoko makes fun of them, calling them pathetic. Then Kyoko asks them if she should then reduce her life to 1 while everyone has 3 lives. They both thank Kyoko for her kindness. Then they started celebrating because now they got a shot at winning, but then they both froze because she said with one condition, that if they lose, they both would have to wear a maid uniform. They both protested, asking why they have to cosplay. But then Kyoko, with an angry tone, calls out the time they used her clothes without her permission. They try to feign ignorance, but it's obvious that they're both guilty. Having no other choice but to agree, they also made a condition that if they'll win, she's the one that will have to cosplay, and Kyoko nonchalantly agrees. Hinata asks Kyo-chan if she's really fine with it since she might hold her back, but Kyo-chan reassures her. She tells her to just have fun and not to worry about it because she'll back her up. Then she asks her, wouldn't it be cute to see Memori in a maid outfit? After that, Hinata started daydreaming about Memori being Adam in a maid outfit. She snaps back to reality and loudly proclaims that she won't lose and that service will be hers. Kasugi asks her sister what she whispered to her to rile her up like that, while Kyo-chan is just there, clapping. And with that, the second round begun, and ended with the both of them wearing maid uniforms and losing a bunch of more times. Kyo-chan and Hinata celebrates their winning streaks, with Hinata attributing it all to Kyo-chan. But Mimori asks Hinata why did she become good at the game all of a sudden, with Kasugi saying that she's playing excellent for a beginner. And Hinata says it's all thanks to their maid uniforms. Seeing that it's already late, they decided to stop playing for today and head home. Mimori tells Hinata that she'll walk her home, and Hinata thanks her. But Kasugi reminds her that she's a girl now too, so he decided to walk them both home. After that, he asked her sister if she wants to tag along, but she just asks him to buy some ice cream on his way back, which he agreed. Then calls out both of them and asks if they're going out with those outfit making fun of them for the last time. Outside, as they're walking, Kasugi thanks Hinata for coming over and apologizes for changing their plans, but she told him to not worry, and she also had a ton of fun today. Then Mimori tells her about Kyoko. When she was young, all she did was hung out with the both of them, so she was worried how she was doing at school. Then today she saw her having fun playing together with her, making her relieved. Then asks Hinata to stay friends with Kyoko, with Hinata happily agreeing. Mimori goes up to Kasugi after, pats his shoulder, and tells him that big bro doesn't need to worry now since Kyoko now has Hinata. Then Kasugi let out a waterfall, surprising Mimori, then thanks Hinata while sobbing. Someone rung the door at Kasugi's residence. After that, Kyoko opened the door and see Mimori. Mimori greets her good morning while Kyoko welcomes her and tells her to come in. Going inside and removing her shoes, Mimori asks where Kasugi went and Kyoko answers that he went to the convenience store. She tells her that Kasugi told her that they'll have a study session today, with Kyoko being told the same thing. While Mimori is unpacking her bag, Kyoko set up the game and asks if she wants to play. Mimori thinks for a moment and tells her that they'll only play one set then study. After a while, Kasugi is finally back from the convenience store. He saw Mimori's shoes and thinks that they must have started studying already. Kasugi opens the living room door and apologizes for being late, but then he got mad at the both of them and asks in an angry shout what they are doing, which startled Mimori and her sister. And that is the start of chapter 6. They both got into a kneeling position apologizing, while Kasugi reminds the both of them that the reason why he organized the study session is so that they wouldn't flunk in their finals. But then Kyoko asks a question. Can they just not take the finals? With Mimori supporting her. Bruh, isn't finals like 30% of your grades? I think you can if you had aced every single activity and quiz at school. I think. Never mind, don't take my advice. Kasugi refuses their plan and tells them that if they would fail even one subject, half of their summer break will be spent taking supplementary classes and make-up exams, and asks them if they really want that. Both of them freezes for a while, letting the things that Kasugi just said sink in their heads. Kyoko shivers at that fact and asks his big bro if he's just messing with them. Then she saw Mimori trembling at the ground, suddenly reminded of how her summer went the last time she failed some subjects. With Kasugi also getting reminded about her misfortune and telling her sister that she got a first-hand experience of it. Mimori calls out Kyoko and tells her as her senpai that she must study hard like her life depends on it, or she'll going to experience hell and torment. Kyoko went silent hearing what Mimori just said, but then perks up and tells Mimori that it'll be fine. Mimori tries to argue with her, but she cuts her off and tells her that it would be fine since his reliable big bro is here. Which made Kasugi blush, hearing those words coming from her sister. Then Mimori also perks up, getting reminded that Kasugi is always the top scorer in her year, with Kyoko agreeing, but saying it's such a waste. Kasugi, with an annoyed expression, asks her sister what does she mean by that, but Mimori pats his shoulder and tells him that she's just joking. Then both Mimori and Kyoko looks at Kasugi and tells him that they'll be counting on him, calling him teacher. Which made Kasugi blushed harder because of their trust on him. And with that, they started studying. But after a while both of them slumped down, telling him that they're already at their limits. With Kasugi asking where did all their energy a while ago went. Kasugi asks Mimori to hand over her notes to see where she's stuck at. With Mimori obeying and asking if he can solve this problem. And in just half a second, Kasugi already knows the answer, which impressed Mimori for solving it quick. Then he teaches Mimori how to solve it, with Mimori nodding and listening. She then brightens up after, since she now knows how to solve it, and thanks his homie for his easy and clear explanation. Kasugi smiles smugly and says it's no big deal. Kyoko, then noticing Memori's happy expression, approached his big bro and asks about her own math problem, with Kasugi also explaining to her how to solve it. Then thanks his older brother and playfully elbows him, telling him that he's amazing, making Kasugi blush and smile wider. Both Memori and Kyoko praises Kasugi more, with them calling him Mr. Top Ranker, making Kasugi have the widest grin and all embarrassed, saying they don't need to compliment him that much. After that, he went quiet when he saw the both of them just staring at him, asking what. Then he bashfully asks them what's wrong with being a bit happy over being relied upon by some cute girls. Memori replies nothing, but reminds him that she's a guy on the inside, and Kyoko telling him that she's her sister. They both closes up to Kasugi to console him, telling him not to be sad. They then tell him that thanks to them, he got a nice memory. But Kasugi tells them to stop rubbing it in and started crying. A few hours have passed and we see both of them exhausted, finally done with their work and saying they don't want to continue anymore. But Kasugi tells them that they only just finished one subject. After that, Kyoko jumps up and asks his big brother for a break and finally play some games, since she finished one subject, which Kasugi allowed. Kyoko dashes to the console happy to start playing, then Memori noticed that Kasugi is going to a different direction. Memori asks Kasugi what he's planning, and Kasugi tells her that since it's almost lunchtime, he should cook some food. Memori asks if he needs some help preparing, but tells her that it's fine and to just go play with Kyoko, which she complied. After a while, Kasugi already prepared the table and calls out to the girls saying lunch is ready. Memori, hearing that it's ready, dashes to the table immediately. Seeing that her sister is still at the chair, she calls for her to eat lunch, which Kyoko replies that she's just saving the game. After that, she also went to the table, and with all of them seated, they started eating. With just the first bite, Memori says that it's super delicious. She repeatedly whacks his homie's back and tells him that his cooking is always the best. Kasugi, with a smug look, thanks her. But then Memori noticed something and calls out Kasugi again. She points out that he's an amazing cook, which Kasugi again thanks her. He's intelligent, always the top one in class, which Kasugi confusingly thanks her praise. Then she says that he's also better looking than the average. Hearing all those compliments, Kasugi asks her what she's getting at. Memori, confused, asks why he's not popular. Kasugi replies back saying that she should already know the reason why. Kasugi recalls the time he was trying everything to be popular when they were first years, with Memori agreeing, saying that the both of them were really desperate back then. Kyoko, with a killing blow, says that in the end neither of them became popular. Then she singles out his big brother and tells the reason why he can't rizz up anyone, which made Memori and Kasugi listen. She tells him that he's too perfect, to the point where women would condemn him as disgustingly perfect. Kasugi, getting damaged by what her sister just said, Memori tells Kyoko to be more subtle about it, but Kyoko has more stuff to say, so Memori tries her best to stop her from murdering his older brother. Recovering from the injury, he calls out Memori, then asks her how many girls confessed to her since she became a girl. She tells him none, but Kasugi is not buying it and asks why she didn't go out with any of them. She tells him that she has her reasons, then recalls how they were fighting for her and says that they were very scary and like they aren't even humans. But then she looks up at Kasugi, then tells him that if one day, if he'll ever get a girlfriend, he might not have the time to hang out with her anymore, which made her feel a little lonely thinking about it. After that heartfelt confession, both Kyoko and Memori see that Kasugi is all silent, quivering, so Memori asks what's wrong. After that, Kasugi, blushing, looks at Memori and asks if she likes him. Memori quickly denies it. But Kasugi isn't listening and proceeded to kneel in front of Memori, holds her hand, and says that his feelings towards her is the same. Memori again tries to deny it and tells him to stop doing that. Kasugi then, with a serious face, proclaims that he would treasure her forever for the rest of their lives. Not being able to get into Kasugi, she calls out for her sister, asking for help. But Kyoko just thanks for the food and the show. She again tries to break Kasugi from his trance, to no avail. Then she tells him that it's time to continue the study session, which finally made him snap back to reality. But Kyoko was not enthusiastic by that. As Kasugi is telling Memori something, Kyoko tries to silently escape, but the door creaks as she was opening it, which both of them took notice. Kasugi closes up to her sister and asks where she's going, making her lose hope in escaping. Kyoko becomes sad, goes to Memori and blames her for letting him get reminded by it. Memori apologizes, not having any other choice, and tells her that she'd buy her some ice cream later. And with that, Kyoko turns 180, asking her to promise, with Memori thinking that she really loves ice cream. But then Kasugi interrupted their conversation, saying that they should now continue. Kasugi tells the both of them that he now won't go easy on them. Kyoko tries to protest, but then Kasugi tells her that she won't get any ice cream if she won't be able to answer the problems. Kyoko got scared by the threat, then tells him that she'll do her best. After a long study session, we see Kyoko exhausted and sleeping in her notes. Kasugi tells Memori that her sister's sleeping face is really the cutest. Memori reminded him that the reason she's like that right now is because of the overwhelming pressure he's emitting during the study session. But Kasugi tells him that he's like that because of them being hopeless at studying. Kasugi carries her sleeping sister towards the sofa, and since Memori doesn't want to disturb Kyoko, she decided to head home. Kasugi asks Memori if she wants him to walk her back, but Memori declines, saying it's still bright outside. Kasugi lays her sister down in the sofa, then suddenly sleep talks, asking about her ice cream. Memori comments on how she really loves ice cream, with Kasugi putting cover on her agreeing. After that, Kasugi calls out Memori and reminds him the time when she told him that no matter what she looks like, she'll always be his best friend. Which Memori confirms. Then he tells her that no matter what changes, he'll also always be her best friend. With that unexpected declaration, Memori got all embarrassed and asks why is he suddenly saying all that stuff right now. She then turns around, telling Kasugi to take care of her then in the future. Then suddenly Kasugi perks up and asks if they're now going out then. Memori denies it and reminds him that time she told him to not fall for her on the very first day she became a girl. With Kasugi reminding her of him not agreeing to that. And see Kyoko actually awake, smiling from hearing all the conversation. Bruh, she's supporting both teams. And before going out, Memori turns her head around and tells Kasugi to always stay friends with her and calls him her partner. Kasugi blushed by what Memori just said and tells her that he really is unrivaled. Don't click off yet, because I added the extras in the first volume, kinda like OVA. This is her hot sister's first appearance. So, when Memori just became a girl, she asked her older sister about her old uniform since her own uniform was now too big. She turns around finding it, wondering if she still has it in her closet, with Memori thinking she might get late and would have to wear her loose uniform. But quickly her sister found it, with Memori surprised on how fast that was. She also told her that it's already been dry cleaned, which made Memori more surprised, asking if she's a psychic. In the next story, we see Kasugi and Memori racing, with Memori winning the race. As punishment, Kasugi buys Memori some drink and says she's still athletic even with her body changing, with Memori praising herself. Then, unexpectedly, Kasugi puts the cold drink in Memori's cheek, surprising her, letting out a squeal. Kasugi compliments her, saying that it's cute, then asks her to do it again, but Memori embarrassingly refuses. In the next story, we see Hinata with the clothes that Memori bought for her. She tries it on, hoping that it would fit, and was happy when it did, but says that it's a little tight around her chest. Then, suddenly one of the buttons snapped off. After that, she's crying as she's fixing the clothes that Memori brought for her. In the final story, we see Memori and Kyoko gaming, with Kyoko easily winning and Memori saying that it's a complete shutdown. After that, they went back to studying. Then Memori asks Kasugi where he ranked on this year's mock exam, with Kasugi nonchalantly replying that he ranked in the single digits. She stares at the siblings, with Kasugi asking why she's staring super hard at them. She tells him nothing, but in her mind, she thinks that the two of them are too amazing. Also, here's a colored panel of Kyo-chan acting smug and mighty. The story starts with Kyo-chan and Hinata coming back from shopping and deciding to hang out at Kyo-chan's place. Kyoko telling Hinata that since they bought swimsuits, they should invite Memori now to go swimming to show it off. Hinata was taken aback by the sudden suggestion and asked if they should really go today. But then Hinata calms down and says to her that tomorrow is their final, so they should just study. With Kyo-chan realizing she's right and agreeing with her. But as they come into the living room, we see Memori having a tantrum saying she doesn't want to do it, which made the girls shocked and confused. And that is the start of the chapter. Kyoko pokes at Memori and asks his brother what's wrong with her. Kasugi tries to explain, but then Memori shouted that she's sick of studying and wants to go somewhere to take a break. Kyoko, hearing that Memori wants to go somewhere, she asks his big brother to go to the pool, which caught Memori's attention, but Kasugi immediately shuts her down. Hinata also tries to dissuade Kyo-chan, but Kyo-chan says that they just bought swimsuits. And then, as a final push to convince her, she asks Hinata if she wants to see Memori in swimsuits. And with that, she's on board and also tries to convince Kasugi enthusiastically to go to the pool. Seeing Hinata turn 180, Kasugi asks her sister what she's always whispering to her to make her like this. With all the girls wanting to go, Kyoko tries to persuade his big bro, but he's still hesitant. After that, Kyoko pulls out a cute pose and cutely asks his big bro to take a break just for today. Kasugi, having a sister complex, turns his head around and finally allows it, which made Kyoko pleased and says in her mind that he's too easy. With everybody on board, Memori decided to head home to get her swimsuit with Kyoko waving her off, but then Kasugi calls out to her and curiously asks if she really has one. Memori tells him that she'll just use her old swim trunks from last year, but Kasugi immediately tells her no. Having limited time, she texts her older sister if she has a swimsuit she can borrow, seeing that she lent her old uniform to her. But Kasugi tells her that even if she has one, they have a height difference and tells her that it might not even fit her, which made Memori worryingly agree. But then, her sister replies back a few seconds later and tells her she has one and tells her that it's also specifically for her, which made Memori and Kasugi surprised and asks themselves why she's got one. They didn't ask her any more questions and just decided that she should just go home to go get it and meet all together in front of the station. In the next scene, we see them already at the pool. As Kasugi is waiting for the girls changing into their swimsuits, he complains about the weather being too hot and sunny. But then Kyoko calls out to him and asking how they look, with Kasugi saying that they look great. Kasugi then tells Kyoko to always stay hydrated, and he puts on a towel poncho to her, saying to always keep her hood on since it's too sunny, with Kyoko obeying his brother's instructions. Hinata, seeing all this, thinks he's like Kyo-chan's mother. After that, Kyo-chan pushes Hinata forward and asks how she looks, with Hinata surprised suddenly being put on the spotlight. She tells both of the siblings to stop because it's embarrassing. But then both the siblings says that was cute. After that, Kyo-chan proudly says that she had chosen that swimsuit for her, which he praises her for picking it. Seeing that they aren't stopping with the compliments, she shouted at both of them, telling them to stop it already. And again, the siblings finds her being embarrassed cute. Seeing Hinata already smoking, they decided to stop and focus on Memori, but they can't find her anywhere. Then Memori finally comes back from changing. She apologizes for taking a while because she waited for everyone to get changed. Kyoko tells her that it's fine to look at the others since she's a girl now. But Memori says it still feels wrong and she has morals. And while the two of them are talking, both Kasugi and Hinata are just silent, looking at her. Outfit check. 10. Especially Memori.
Cute and hot.
And okay, hear me out. Guys, it's not gay if she became a girl.
Right?
I don't want to hear you guys counter arguments in the comments. But still, in the end, I'd still choose her hot older sister over her. With Memori grouping up with them, she asked how she looks, confident with herself. But Kyoko is just looking at her. Kyoko touches her chest, with Memori confused with her actions. After that, she stares at Memori's, realizing that she's bigger. She went all smug and satisfied, with Memori crying out not to get cocky. Memori then looks at the two that's staring at her, trying to fish out some compliments. But both Hinata and Kasugi asks with a serious expression, why is she that cute, making Memori ask, why so serious? After that, Kasugi tells the girls to do warm-up first with Hinata following his instructions. But Memori and her sister just went straight to the pool, jumping into the water, making Kasugi mad. But then a lifeguard got angry at them and tells them that the pool they're at is a no-diving zone. After that, we see Hinata joining them, but says that the water is cold. Hyo-chan splashes water at her and tells her that she'll get used to it, but Hinata tells her to stop. Seeing Kyo-chan teasing her, Memori also splashes water at her and challenges her to a duel. After that, she accepts her challenge, then pulls out a water gun. Memori asks where did she pull that out from, but she answered her with an unloading straight to the face. Kasugi, seeing the girls having fun and enjoying themselves. He also enjoys the view of them having fun. But then suddenly, he got sprayed up by her own sister. He angrily asks why she had done that, but she replies it's because he has a creepy look on his face. Kasugi tries to reason out his way, but Kyoko doesn't want to hear his explanations. Not realizing that she's gone, Hinata calls out to Kasugi. And we see Kyoko already far away and screams at her to not get separated. After a while, we see them at a big slide. But then see Kasugi holding up the line, hesitating to go, with the others getting annoyed with him. Kyoko tells him to hurry it up, but Kasugi tells her to hold on for a second. He tries to excuse himself, saying that he's just preparing. But Memori, tired of waiting, she goes to his back unsuspectingly. After that, she annoyingly tells him to go already and pushes him in, making Kasugi scream from the sudden push. Hinata, all alone at the pool, asks herself why they're taking a while, with some boys checking her out. But then suddenly she sees some bubbles coming out of the water. Then Kasugi unexpectedly floats up, making Hinata shout out his name, asking if he's okay. After that, Kasugi got punished and was ordered to buy them some food and drinks. But as he's getting up picking up the ice cream, someone recognized him and calls out his name. It was his classmates and greets them, which they greet him back. One of his classmates asks if he's also tired of studying, with Kasugi agreeing and saying he's just taking a break for today. They tell him that they're about to try and raise up some girls and asks if he wants to come with. Ah yes, a group of boys raising up a single girl, making her uncomfortable, a scene in every outing. Anyways, they asked Kasugi if he wants to join them. But Kasugi declines, making both the boys surprised. After that, they had a suspicion and then asks if he came with a girl. Kasugi didn't answer them, but looking at his grinning face, they already know the answer. The boys call him a traitor and hear Kasugi screaming to stop because he's drowning in the background. The girls, on the other hand, especially Memori, is annoyed, asking what's taking him so long. After that, she calls out Hinata, then asks her if it's fine if she'll make her wetter and sweatier. Hinata blushes by what Memori just said to her, then cools down after and got puzzled why they're lined up at the diving board. Hinata asks what they're going to do. Then Memori points out that since she's good at sports, she wants to try racing her to see who's faster. Hinata accepts her explanation, but in her mind, she asks why. And we see Kasugi surviving, with Kyoko welcoming his brother back. And since Memori issued this race to her, she promised her that if she wins, she'll do anything Hinata wants, making her surprised by that reward. After that, Hinata, blushing and thinking about Memori in a bunny suit, asks her if she'll really gonna do anything. Memori again agrees, but senses that something is off with Hinata's reaction. And realizing the danger she just put herself in, she thinks that if she'll lose, she'll be forced to do something embarrassing, which she's right. Kyoko, calling the shots, finally says go, and with that, they started racing, splashing Kasugi in the process. Both was fast swimmers and ended up touching the wall at the same time. Hinata says it was a tie and compliments Memori for being fast. Memori also compliments her back, but Hinata sees that her top is off. Both the siblings also noticed and see that Kasugi is getting too excited, which Kyoko took notice. So she pulls out her big water gun and sprayed his big brother straight to the face. Not noticing the vulnerable position she's in and hearing the commotion Kasugi is making, Memori turns back and asks what's wrong, but then Hinata calls out for Memori, then hugs her tightly and tells her that her top is off. She grabbed the floating swimwear and ties it back on Memori, securing it properly. Hinata finished and tells her that it's fine now, but noticing that Memori is silent, she calls for her name. Then suddenly, Memori swims away, saying that Hinata really is an indecent woman, which made Hinata confused. We then hear Hinata shouting to the fleeing Memori that she touched her to cover her from being exposed. While Kasugi is at the ground groaning in pain, with Kyoko asking if he's alright. And that's how their pool break ended. At the bus stop, we see all of them looking drained except for Kyo-chan, who, as always, is stoic and eating ice cream. Kasugi sighs and says that for some reason he became more exhausted than usual, with Memori saying the same thing. Kyoko then interrupted their gloominess. With a bright expression, she shows the ice cream stick and says that she won. She pulls his older brother and tells him to go together to exchange it. And with that, they hurried back to the store, telling her to not pull him and to stop running, leaving Hinata and Memori alone. Both of them are silent and the atmosphere was awkward because of the incident. Memori speaks first and calls out Hinata's name, which Hinata replies. Memori then tells her that she really is an indecent woman. Hinata was taken aback by what Memori said and tries to deny it. She then asks Hinata why did she touch her front then. Hinata tries to fix the misunderstanding and explains that she was only trying to protect her dignity. Both of them went silent for a moment again. After that, Memori asks, if Hinata would have won, she probably would have ordered her to wear something indecent. Making Hinata jump up and asks how did she know. And with that, Memori caught her red-handed. Hinata panics and explains that she just thinks she'll look cute in a bunny suit. Seeing Hinata turning redder by the second with steam coming out, Memori laughs and tells her that she's a dummy and was just messing with her, making Hinata realize that she was just teasing her. The siblings were also already back for a while now and comments that Memori was being mean to Hinata. Memori, clueless of Hinata's feelings towards her, asks what she's talking about. But Kyoko just answers that she's also a dummy. After that, Kasugi calls out to the girls and says, now that they took a break, they should now go back and study for the finals tomorrow. But both Kyoko and Memori holds his shoulder and try to convince him that they should have fun now that it's summer break. Kasugi got angry at them, saying they still have school and worst is that it's their finals tomorrow. And with that, they are back at Kasugi's place, forcing Memori and her sister to continue studying. And that's the end of chapter 7. The story continues after they finished their final exams. The teacher called for Kasugi and handed his performance. One of his classmates called for him and asks how he did in the exam. Kasugi looks through the paper, seeing all of his scores in each subject. Then replies that he made some mistakes, but it's not too bad. His classmate then replies that he again then is the top scorer, just like usual. Then both of them notice Memori with her soul coming out, crying out that it's over. Kasugi worryingly asks what's with her half-dead state she's in. Memori, assuming her own fate, just looks at the window and thinks about her summer vacation being jam-packed full of supplementary classes. But Kasugi tells her to not get too sad since she still haven't seen how she did. Kasugi then hands her his paper, telling her to look. And we see Kasugi getting 490 points. Memori got mad and asks him is he's messing with her, thinking that he's flexing his scores. But Kasugi denies it and tells her that since he scored well, she should also have done well since both of them studied together. Memori processes what Kasugi said for a moment, then suddenly realizes his logic, saying he's right. Kasugi then comforts her, saying that if she flunks, he's also going to attend supplementary classes with her. Now that's true love. But then a new challenger approaches. A girl. She calls out Kasugi, then loudly proclaims that this time, she, the marvelous Saiga, would take first place and will finally defeat him. And that is the start of this chapter. The whole class went silent for a moment. Both of them stared at her for a while, not knowing how to respond. Then the teacher called for Memori to get her scores, which she answers, leaving just Kasugi staring at her. Then he finally spoke up and awkwardly asks her what's up, calling her princess. But she yells at Kasugi, asking what's with the late response. Princess then became gloomy and tells him that she sacrificed countless nights off sleep. Kasugi, hearing what she just said, then responds that she should maybe take a nap then. But she only shouts at him to listen to her. She then tells her about the last year's entrance ceremony and how the top-ranked student in the entrance exam will be chosen to address the new class. She tells him that she had a very excellent score in the exam, confident she's the top scorer, and also diligently prepared her speech, which is very thick. But when she thought it's finally her time to shine, they called him out instead of her. And to rub salt to the injury, he started stumbling on his own words, trembling, making it a very dishonorable speech. She then ends it, yelling at him that she even heard he nearly got full marks at that exam, which is very frustrating, asking him what's wrong with him, making Kasugi surprised. Then became bashful and thanks her for that compliment. But Princess loudly tells him that she wasn't praising him. She then proclaims that ever since that day, he and her have been eternal rivals, making Kasugi confused, not knowing he's been competing with her. She then admits that sadly she didn't beat him, not even once in any test or activity. And as she was about to shyly say something to him, we see Memori running towards the both of them. She then, with a bright and wide smile, joyfully says that she passed, not failing any subject. Kasugi congratulates her and Memori tells him that they can now have fun and enjoy summer break together. Princess then suddenly holds Memori's face, with Memori wanting to share to her the results too, telling her that she worked hard to get the score. But Princess just started squishing Memori's cheek, making Memori nervous and confused. She then turns her head around Kasugi and asks him if she's really Memori-san. She then yells that she was so concentrated on her studies that she didn't know she became a girl.
And a cute one at that.
She then yells that she's jealous and it's unjust. Not only Kasugi is blessed academically, he also got an attractive and beautiful girl best friend. Memori, seeing and hearing Princess's loud actions, got her scared and apologizes to her for being a cutie, but Princess loudly tells her that she's praising her. After that, she then tells Kasugi that, however, today, she would strip him from his title being the top class student. She pulls out a paper and hands it to Kasugi. She tells him that although it's just an estimation, she tells him that it's her highest record up to date, with both the two saying that it's higher than Kasugi's, which she replies precisely. The teacher then calls out Princess, then tells Kasugi to look and behold, as she's about to see her moment of victory. She confidently asks the teacher to give her the results, but tells her that she failed. That's just sad. She asks why. She tries to protest, saying there's no chance she got a low score, let alone fail, and shouts that there must be some sort of error. But the teacher just responds that there's no mistakes. Her answers were shifted over by one. Bruh, can they at least give her some consideration since he noticed it? At the very least, let her pass. She screams loudly, how is this possible? And seeing all the commotion she's making, their classmate says that Her Highness is smart, but she's a bit clumsy at times, with Memori agreeing, saying that's how she is. But then Kasugi calls out to the both of them, then tells them that since the princess took interest on him, he asks both of them if maybe the princess likes him. The classmate and Memori looks at each other for a moment, then puts their hand in Kasugi's shoulder, not saying anything, making Kasugi confused. After all that, the teacher tells the class that since everyone got their tests back, it's time to continue the class, which made Memori dejected. The teacher tells them that he knows they're tired from doing their finals, so today they'll take it easy, and appoints them to a group of 4 because they'll only just do cooking class today, which made the students happy. And at the EC room, we see that Memori and Kasugi was grouped together and waiting for their other members. Memori sighs and says she just wants to be a taste tester. Kasugi then assures her that he'll help her, but Memori thanks him, thinking he'll be cooking everything, which he denies. Then Princess, with a Santa laugh, Oju-sama laugh, calls out Kasugi and tells him that today, victory shall be hers. He confusingly accepts her challenge, but also tells her that they're in the same group, so he's looking forward to working together. The last member also came and sat together with Princess. She asks Princess if she can cook, and she confidently says absolutely. She absolutely cannot cook. She then assures her and says to not fret and to leave everything to her. But her admitting she can't cook and knowing she's a bit clumsy makes her worry. While the two of them are chatting, we see Memori struggling with something which Kasugi took notice. He asks her what's wrong. Then Memori looks at Kasugi that she can't put her apron on and asks to tie it for her. Kasugi turned solid seeing how Memori is cutely struggling. Then he grabbed her hand and asks her, "Will you make miso soup for me every day?" Which is a traditional Japanese way of "Will you marry me?" Memori got confused, not getting it, and asks him if he's okay with the powdered kind. Kasugi tries to explain to her what he meant by that. But then Princess interrupted their moment and disses Kasugi for his game. Then, in a not-so-subtle way, Princess calls out Memori. She pulls Memori close to her, and as she's tying her apron, she formally compliments her. "My lady, being adorned in this cute apron, would you allow me to keep it for myself?" Memori turned red, blushing, tells her that she's too close, then thanks her for tying her apron. Princess celebrated in the background, saying it's her win, while Kasugi is frustrated why his riz didn't work. Their other groupmate, in the other hand, is now more worried if they'll really gonna be fine. After that, they started preparing to cook. Kasugi instructs the two, who can't cook, Memori and Princess, to just cut the vegetables and fruits to turn it into a salad, and asks if they can handle it. They both said yes, and he let them cook. After that, him and the other groupmate started peeling the potatoes for a nikujiga. If anyone's wondering what that is, it's Japanese meat and potato stew. But as she's peeling the potatoes, she tells Kasugi that every time she peels potatoes, they always crumble easily. Kasugi, seeing that she's struggling, give her tips and tricks to avoid it crumbling. He then starts yapping, explaining about some ways to store and cook potatoes. She listened to the whole thing and got impressed, and noticing that he made a long-winded talk about potatoes, he apologizes to her for rambling. She tells him that it's fine, then compliments him for being smart and good at cooking. It's almost as if he can always do everything perfectly. But hearing those words made him freeze, because it reminded him of what her younger sister has told him, being disgustingly perfect. Memori, noticing that he's about to cry, she approached him and tries to comfort Kasugi, saying to not worry because she didn't mean anything by it. Kasugi then hugs Memori tight and tells her that she really is the only one for him. But Memori yells at him what he's doing and screams to let her go. After that, they finally finished cooking. And with that, they started to eat. As Kasugi is getting some food, he calls out to Memori. He then asks what did they made. But Memori reminded him that he asks them to make salad. Kasugi asks them why it's like this. Memori replies that she heard torn lettuce tastes better. Kasugi tells her that it's fine, but asks why tear the cherry tomatoes too, which made it messy. He also asks what's with the weird sauce they put in. Princess then comes and confidently says it's both their collaborative special dressing. He asks why make it when they can just put some regular dressing. But Princess replies they aren't like the other chefs. And with that, both the girls encourage him to try it, but Kasugi is having second thoughts. Kasugi then tells them that it's too weird and passes the taste test to the both of them. The girls were disappointed hearing Kasugi saying that. So they decided to prove it to him by trying it first. And the moment they took the first bite, they froze. Memori tries to say it's delicious, but cuts it mid-sentence because of what she ate coming back up, while Princess managed to weakly say that it's exquisite. Kasugi got worried at both of them and screams to stop lying and to spit it out. After surviving, their teacher suddenly approached them. He compliments their salad for being unique. Then, with zero hesitation, tasted it. They tried to warn him, but he already took a spoonful. After that, the teacher also froze for a moment, then asks who cooked this. And with that, Memori and Princess was asked to report to the staff room after class. After being scolded and coming out of the staff room, they ask each other how did it end up like this, with the school counselor even being summoned to reprimand them. After that, someone called out to the girls, asking if they're fine, seeing that they're gloomy. It was Kasugi. Memori got angry and asks if he's here to lecture them too. But Kasugi calls her a dummy and says he's here to just check on them. He then tells the two that the flavor they made was pretty unique and says it wasn't all that bad. The girls got stunned by what Kasugi just said, with Memori asking if he's really telling the truth. Princess was also taken aback and asks him why he's suddenly being very considerate to them. Kasugi then blushes again and thanks her. But Princess yells at him that was not a praise. She then thinks about Kasugi. He's an astonishing individual. She sees him as his eternal rival. But maybe what she actually feels is. But before finishing her thoughts, suddenly somebody called out to Kasugi. It was her sister, with Hinata walking with her. As they all chat, Princess is just at the corner, surprised, realizing Kasugi has more girl acquaintances. She asked herself who those cute and adorable girls are and thinks that maybe what she really feels towards Kasugi is envy. Seeing Kasugi smiling and chatting with all the girls, Princess puts her head down. Then suddenly started laughing, which all of them took notice. She then calls out Kasugi and loudly tells him that he really is his eternal rival, Deswa. And with that she started running while doing an Ojuasama laugh, while the rest were just silent as she sprints off away. Then Kasugi says that Princess maybe does have feelings for him, but Memori again comforts him. Summer break finally came, but we see Memori bored just watching anything on the TV. Then somebody called out for her. It was her hot older sister. Ah yes, my wife finally made an appearance. Memori, seeing that she's dressed, asks where she's going. She's going on a date with me. She replies she's going to work. Memori tells her that it's crazy hot outside, and with her going out it would make things hotter. Big Sis then asks her if she has plans to go somewhere over the summer break. She replies none because she's broke. Then suddenly somebody called her. It was her manager. She picks up the phone and asks what's up. The other person on the line greeted her. The manager tells her that they're short staff right now and asks if she can come earlier, and also asks if there's any girls she knows that could do part-time in short notice. Then she looks at Memori playing with an arcade stick controller. Big Sis then puts the monster in Memori's shoulder, grabbing her attention. Then tells the manager that she happens to know a girl who's extremely free at the moment. And that is the start of Chapter 9. Big Sis and Lil Bro. After arriving somewhere, Memori is glaring at her sister, then calls out to her. She told her that they'd go out and eat lunch somewhere today, which she confirms. She then angrily asks her what's with the maid uniform she's wearing right now. She tells her that she's fine and reassures that she looks good in it. But Memori tells her that's not what she means. Then suddenly the manager hugs Tsukasa. Finally Onisima's name is revealed. She greets her manager good morning. The manager then sees Memori and asks who's the person that she brought. Tsukasa tells her that she's his little brother, but corrects herself and says it's her lil sister. She got surprised that she has a younger sister and compliments Memori for being cute. Memori, not knowing the situation, grabs her big sis and asks her what's going on. But she just yawns. The manager, hearing what Memori is asking her sister, tells her that she's here to help them today. Memori was taken aback, suddenly being informed to work. Then angrily yells at her sister for tricking her. She denies her accusation and tells her she'll be having staff lunch. Realizing she's technically telling the truth, she tries to find some other excuses. But her big sis just menacingly stares at Memori and asks if she's thinking that she can get free lunch without working. Memori got scared and apologizes to her sister, but in her mind, she screams that she doesn't want to do it. I mean, I'd also be scared if she looked at me like that. And also turned on. The door then suddenly opened, which the manager took notice. It was Hinata, also in a maid uniform, and informs the manager that she finished cleaning the shop. But as she's about to ask what to do next, she sees that Memori is with them. Hinata got surprised and asks why she's here with Memori, also surprised, asking the same question. Big Sis then asks Memori if they know each other, with Memori replying she's her junior. Hinata, on the other hand, is just in her mind wondering why she's always bumping into Memori when she least expects it, then screams in her mind that Memori looks very adorable wearing a maid outfit. Tsukasa then closes up to Hinata, startling her. As she's admiring her, Memori tells Hinata that she's her big sis, which surprised her again. Tsukasa then holds Hinata by the chin, greeting her. Hinata, on the other hand, can't form any sentences seeing my wife up close, thinking in her mind that she's super gorgeous. She finally composed herself just a little bit. It's nice to meet yous. I'm new, so I hope you'll teach me the ropes, says Hinata. She started sizzling, so she let her cool down. Big sis then says she's funny, with Memori agreeing. Memori then asks Hinata why did she got a job. As she was about to tell the reason why, Hyo-chan pops out and tells her she asked her to help out, which surprised Memori. Memori asks if she's also working here then, which Kyoko confirms, saying Tsukasa-chan asked her to help. Memori then says she somehow can't imagine her working, with Kyoko agreeing, saying all she does is play games all day. She then calls for Hinata, then asks her if she was also lured by the promise of a lunch staff. Hinata turns red again and replies that the omurice here is super good according to Kyo-chan. Kyoko then calls their attention and points out that she got hired first. So today she asks the two of them to address her as Kyoko-senpai, with the two of them confusingly agreeing. And with that, the maid cafe is finally open. But before letting the newbies out to work, Kyoko-senpai is about to show them the proper way to greet customers. She tells them that when a master comes in through the door, they should welcome them with their brightest smile, which they both agreed. Hina-chan tried it first, turning all red, blushing, with Kyoko-senpai telling her she's too tense. Memori, on the other hand, greets in a weird Yankee way, calling the customer boss man, which Kyoko-senpai tells her that, ma'am, this is a maid cafe. Kyoko-senpai then demonstrated the proper way of greeting the customers, showing her brightest smile, but Memori points out that her expression hasn't changed at all. With her also not being able to properly do it, they decided to look for a better example. Kyoko-senpai and the newbies then decided to observe Big Sis on how she'll do it. But Memori asks if she's serious and points out that she's like that. God, she's hot. Kyoko-senpai then warns Memori that her big sis would kill her if she heard that. The first customer finally walks in, and the three hid behind some plants, with Kyoko-senpai telling them both to observe, but Memori doubts if her big sis would really greet the customer properly. Tsukasa then put on a smile, then brightly greets the customer for coming back and welcomes her in. Memori got stunned, seeing her big sis act like that. Hinata started taking notes, saying she's a pro, with Kyoko-senpai agreeing, complimenting her. Memori, on the other hand, is still stunned. Memori approached Kyoko-senpai and asked who the hell was that, not believing what she's witnessing, with Kyoko nonchalantly replying it's Tsukasa-chan. Memori says she never saw her big sis act like that, with Kyoko-senpai saying that's its Gap Mawa. And as they look at big sis guiding the customer, they realized it was Princess, with Memori greeting her, making Princess surprised. Princess asks why she's here and asks why she's also dressed in a maid uniform. Memori didn't want to do a long explanation, but just says she's just working part-time for now and asks if she looks good in her maid uniform, which Princess enthusiastically confirms. Memori then asks if she comes here a lot, which made Princess nervous. Princess tries to not expose herself, saying that she's just happened to be passing by and was just curious, so she entered, but because of her nervous shaking, something fell off her bag. Kyoko picks it up, realizing that it's a reward points card here, and got amazed because she has a ton of points. Memori tells her there's nothing wrong with coming here and asks why hide it, but Princess still denies it and tries to find some excuses. Princess then reasons that she's a decuplet and tells that maybe some of her siblings visited this establishment multiple times. But it's too obvious she's lying, and Memori wonders why go so far to tell a lie. If anyone's wondering what decuplet is, it's having 10 siblings like twins. Imagine carrying 10 kids in your belly at the same time. That's what's gonna happen between me and Big. Tsukasa-chan then interrupted their conversation, holds Princess's chin and asks permission to escort her to her table. Princess, with the same reaction I make every time I see Big Sis, agreed, while the three observe further. Kyoko again compliments her with Hinata praising how she does it while Memori is still in disbelief her big sis can become more hotter. Big sis cheerfully took Princess's order, then told her that another maid will be accompanying her as she's gonna go give her order. Big sis then approached Memori and told her lil sis to accompany Princess, which she complied. Memori sat together with Princess and wanted to ask her a question, which made Princess curious. Seeing her simp to Big Sis, she asks Princess what did she find so good with her sister. But she blushingly tells her what's not to love about her. Her keen and prescient eyes, those mannerisms which seduce the senses. She's the absolutely ideal temptress. But Memori just thinks her Big Sis looks absolutely more like a demon queen. Which I'm also down. With them chatting, she also asks how were the supplementary classes. Princess got dispirited for a moment and tells her it was like a never-ending hell. After that, Princess's order was finally cooked and Hinata informs the two that her order, fluffy melty omurice, is here. Princess got surprised again meeting her. She asks if she's one of the girls she met previously at school, which Hinata confirms saying she remembered her. Princess brightly tells her she'll never forget anyone as cute as her, which Hinata confusingly thanks her for her compliment. Princess then got excited and asks her to cast the magic spell. Hinata instantly got embarrassed, not wanting to do it. But then looks at Memori with Memori confusingly looking at her back. She shakes her head and tells herself she cannot get cold feet now and tells herself that she can do it. Become delicious. Mokyun. Seeing Hinata cutely performing, the two instantly died. She got worried and asks if they're fine and wonders if she made a mistake. But Memori got back up and tells her she was just super cute right now. Hinata, as always, went bright red, taken aback by Memori's compliment. Then asks her if she's teasing her again. Princess, on the other hand, is just observing the two. Memori tells Hinata that she's not teasing her and was just being honest, but Hinata just shoves her and asks to go help the others. Princess, seeing Hinata's reaction, made some conclusions in her head. Hinata goes back to Princess's table. Then Princess suddenly asks her if she fancies Memori-san. Hinata went red again with Princess's question. Then covers her face with her hands. That's so hot you could probably cook an egg in it. Shyly says yes. Princess, seeing her being like that, thinks she's adorable. She then got more excited and asks Hinata for some girls' talk. After a while of chatting, Princess also blushes hearing their love story. Princess fell in love with the story of how they first met, retelling it, which Hinata loudly tells her to not say it out loud because Memori might hear it. She then apologizes because it was just so pure, she couldn't help herself. Princess then closes up to Hinata, holds her hand tightly and asks to tell her more about her love story next time they meet, but Hinata again tells her that she's too loud. After a while, Hinata finally came back, which Memori took notice. She then asks her what did they talk about since she observed Princess getting fired up with their conversation. Hinata doesn't want to answer her, then runs away and tells her it's none of her business. Memori tries to call her back, but she already fled. She wonders if she said something wrong while the guy he's serving is also confused. Then suddenly, the lights turned off. Memori asks what's happening, then suddenly Kyoko-senpai shows up, then greets the guests and thanks everyone for their patience. She then tells everyone that it's finally time for the live show performance that will be performed by the maids. Memori was intrigued learning they also do this sort of stuff. But then Kyoko-senpai called out the new rookie maid, Mememori-kun, with the light directed at her, which instantly surprised her. Kyoko-senpai asks Memori to go onto the stage, but as she is about to complain, her older sister suddenly approached her asking what she's doing. Then threateningly asks her to sing, which she complied. After finishing work, the manager thanks the girls for helping out today. She then approached Hinata and tells her if she ever wants to work to the cafe, to just say the word. Kyoko, on the other hand, compliments Memori for her singing, with Memori apologizing for being tone deaf. And with that, the three parted ways, leaving the siblings, but Memori asks where Kyoko's going since her house should also be going in their direction, but her big sis tells her she told her she's gonna hit up the arcade. With the siblings left alone, Memori looks at her sister. She thinks she really got her good today, and thankfully, Kasugi didn't found out she'd be working in a maid cafe because he'd definitely come harass her. As Memori is about to complain to her sister deceiving her, Big Sis looks at her straight in the eyes and asks her if she needs something. Memori tucked her tail, instantly breaks eye contact and tells her it's nothing. Her older sister then calls out to her and tells her she surprisingly did good out there today. And even though she changed, it's great that there are still people who treats her the same. And asks Memori to cherish them well, which she confusingly agreed. They started walking towards the overpass stairs with Memori still confused about what she said. She asks herself if she may have been looking out for her. Memori got flustered by that fact and sees her sister being all awkward and not honest about it, then decided that she'll forgive her for deceiving her for today. But then Gap Moe-san suddenly got reminded of something. She tells Memori that she put in some request for her to take shifts next week and asks her to take a look when she had a chance. Memori got dumbfounded for a moment, then yells at her sister what she's talking about. But Big Sis replies that it's a good deal since she needs cash and is free anyways. And with that, Memori retracted her praise about her older sister. She again tries to complain, but with a single question from her older sister, she again quieted down. And that is the end of Chapter 9. As always, thanks for watching. Subscribe to get notified when the next part comes out. You guys subscribing also helps me reaching my 1,000 subscribers goal. Stay safe everyone, hot older sister is my waifu. The story starts off with Kasugi forcing himself to close his eyes. Why, you ask? Holy Mother of God. She spread her legs open. And she's right, her assets are actually pretty decent. Man, they skipped some steps. And that is the intro to this next chapter. But before all of that, the story starts at the library. Kasugi was diligently doing his homework. Then suddenly, someone pat his head. It was Memori. Kasugi greets him, then jokes that it's pretty unusual to see her in here. Memori then told him to guess why she's here right now. But he doesn't have a clue to what she's saying. So, she told him to look at his phone. Kasugi then apologizes after seeing his phone with a lot of messages and missed calls from her like a concerned girlfriend, with Memori saying that she was worried. She thought something happened to him. She even rushed to his house to only meet Kyoko, but she told her where he went, so she figured to just go to the library too and study with him. After her yapping, she looked at Kasugi, then sees he's making a face, which she questions him why he's making that face for. While Memori is taking out her notebook, Kasugi shows her the reason. It was a photo of her and the girls when she worked at the maid cafe. She then got puzzled as to where he got that from. My guess is it was sent from this girl making a heart shape to flex on him. Kasugi yells at her, asking why didn't she told him anything. If she's ever gonna wear a maid outfit, she should always inform him. Memori got confused with what he said and asks if he also wanted to wear one. But Kasugi denies it, saying that's not what he meant. And with both of them, especially Kasugi, being loud in the library, a staff approached them and asks to quiet down, which they both apologize. Memori asks him what he's bummed about. She reminds him the time she wore a maid outfit the very first day she became a girl and the time they lost to her gamer Amudo. Then, he reveals he just wanted to hang out with her homie over this summer break. Kasugi then stood up on his chair, then started walking out. Memori asks him where he's going all of a sudden. Then Kasugi turns his head back and yells that today they would go on a date, just the two of them. Memori tries to stop him, asking what about studying. She even went back to get her notes, but Kasugi doesn't care. And while all of this is happening, all the people in the library are looking at the couple, with Kasugi dragging Memori out, saying summer break is almost over. The first destination that they went is a small family-owned shop. Seeing all those snacks, Memori got mesmerized, saying they look so freaking tasty. Then asks Kasugi, how did he know this fancy shop? Kasugi tells her that their neighbor gave them some food from here before and had known this place for a while now. But he didn't have the courage to come in by himself, mainly because he's a guy and most customers are girls. And with that, they bought snacks. They came out with heavy bags. Memori bought a ton, seeing all the snack they couldn't resist. Kasugi then tells her that they should go to the nearby park to eat it. Memori agrees and challenges Kasugi to a race in which the loser would buy a drink. They both are finally at the park, and because Kasugi lost, he handed Memori an orange drink. Memori started drinking and says the drink was tasty, but Kasugi complains since he always loses and she always excels in sports. But Memori comforts him, tells him to relax, and hands over the bottle to drink. And doing so, he have an indirect kiss as a consolation prize. After that, they started eating the ones they bought. And with just the first bite, Memori beamed because of how tasty it is. She tells Kasugi that it's even better than what she imagined. The sweetness is just right. With Kasugi agreeing, saying he never eaten a sandwich like it before, there's a ton of fillings and the flavors are just perfect. Memori then got reminded that as she was paying, she saw something called a gipan where they put ice cream and other toppings, which made her curious. And since it involves ice cream, she tells Kasugi to invite Kyoko next time they come here because she definitely would want to try it too. Kasugi agrees with her idea and wants to invite Hinata too, because they definitely enjoy it. Then we see both of them imagining Kyoko and Hinata's reactions, also beaming for joy of how tasty it is. Then stopped as they sound like a couple of old farts. After eating, Memori stretches, saying that she's stuffed, but Kasugi on the other hand isn't feeling well, saying he ate too much. Then Memori heard some people playing and having fun. She stood up and went to the kids playing, asking if she can join them. The kids agreed, and as they're playing, Kasugi wonders where she gets all those energy from. Seeing that they're having fun, Kasugi stood up and asks join in too. They started playing ball, with Kasugi getting hit in the head. The next game they played is a boys versus girls Pokemon game, with the boys struggling and Memori grinning menacingly. After playing, the kids went home waving, having enjoyed their company, with Memori and Kasugi waving back, who also had a blast playing with them. With both of them alone and sweaty, she asks Kasugi if he wanted to go wash off their sweat somewhere. Kasugi was a little puzzled, but agreed to go. After arriving somewhere, Kasugi was stunned for a moment, then realized they're about to take a bath together. He then asks what she's doing as Memori is starting to undress. Memori just casually reminds him that they're here to wash off their sweat. But Kasugi forcefully stops her from fully exposing herself, calls her a dum-dum, and screams why she's undressing. Memori asks what's wrong and tells him that everyone takes their clothes off when taking a bath. Bruh. Kasugi asks her if she can't really see what's wrong here. She tells him that she can't go into the men's bath since she's a girl now, but she also doesn't want to go into the women's. So she decided to reserve a private bath for both of them. Kasugi sees her reasoning, but still tries to tell her the reason why. But again, Memori just started undressing again, not hearing Kasugi finish. So Kasugi pulls her shirt back down again and tells her to not do that. He straight up told her that right now she's here with him.
A guy.
He grabs both of her shoulder and asks if she gets it now. But Memori still can't comprehend what he's talking about, which prompted Kasugi to scream of how dense she is. With Memori still oblivious to what Kasugi is saying, he decided to tell her what he's feeling, that he's a teenage boy, and even if she's her best buddy, his buddy would definitely get hard. Memori took a moment to take in what Kasugi is saying, as Kasugi is embarrassed, waiting for her response. She then made a face. The face that needs correction. She pokes Kasugi, asking if he's really too embarrassed to take a bath with her. Kasugi warns her to not get any closer and to not act too smug for someone who's in kissing distance. Memori blows off his concerns and tells him that it's fine since they're homies. And with that, they took a bath together. Memori is already at the wide bathtub, saying how amazing it feels. Then calls out to Kasugi, inviting him to get in now. But Kasugi is fighting his own demons. He tries to calm himself down. Even if she looks different now, everything is still the same. She's still Memori, her best friend. But as he has calmed himself and his buddy down, Memori crept behind him and asks if he wanted to wash his back. Kasugi got surprised and crashes to the ground. He covered his eyes and screams to not startle him, but Memori was also startled and asks him the same. Memori puts the chair upright again and tells him that he's tweaking way too much. She then asks Kasugi to sit back so she can scrub his back. Seeing Kasugi still embarrassed, she advises him to just close his eyes then. But Kasugi started to fidget and shyly tells her that it's not that easy. Memori had enough of his shy and bashful attitude and screams at him to stop whining and let her wash his back already. And with that, Kasugi finally let her do it, but Memori is still mad at him, asking who really is the man here. After that, they both went to the bathtub. Memori then calls out to Kasugi and tells him that it's fun to go karaoke or hang out at the arcade. But doing stuff like this every once in a while is also great, she says as she's smiling at Kasugi. Kasugi smiles back at her and agrees with what she said. What a wholesome moment they're having. And with that, they had brutal, After a while, Memori felt more good after chugging in some milk after their bath. Both of them felt satisfied, but as Kasugi is drinking, his phone rang. It was from Kyoko, with him also getting missed calls from her, probably because it's already late. Kasugi thanks Memori for the date and tells her that he had fun today. But Memori shows some fireworks and tells him it's not over yet. Kasugi asks her when did she bought those. But Memori didn't answer him. She reminds him that summer break is almost over and tells him that she's not satisfied yet, so he's still his until she's full. Kasugi smiled, and with that, they continued their fooling around. And also invited Kyoko to join them. Hell yeah. The story starts with the group planning to go to the fireworks festival on Sunday. All the rest agreed on going. Same with Hinata replying to the group chat that she'd also definitely go. She then wonders if everyone will come in yukatas. She lifts up her plush toy and tells it that it would definitely gonna be a blast. Then she turns her head towards an outfit. She got reminded that she never gone out with Memori-senpai with the promise of wearing the clothes they bought for each other. She did finally had a chance to go out with everyone, but she still haven't worked up the courage to ask Memori-senpai out. She then wonders if there's an opportunity that would fall into her hands. And as she is saying that to the plushie, her phone rang. It was from Memori-senpai. She got surprised, dropped the plushie and started panicking, fumbling her phone, saying she should hurry up and answer. Hinata finally answers her phone and nervously answers Memori. Memori asks if is now a good time since Hinata wasn't picking up for a long time. She nervously answers yes, but thinks that it's totally not since she's still a little panicky. Memori then asks her if she wanted to go on a date with her tomorrow. Hinata got taken aback by her question, then screams so loud Memori distanced her phone in her ear, and even hot older sister took notice. And that is the intro to this next chapter. Hinata is facing the glass looking at her own reflection and asking herself if she looks weird. She braided her hair to match her clothes, but wonders if she looks okay. She sighs as she recalls what happened last night. After freaking out and calming down a bit, she asks Memori again by what she meant. Memori tells her that she got some movie tickets from her hot big sis and asks her to go watch a movie if she's free. Hinata asks if she's really okay going out with her. Memori got puzzled by her question and reassures her by saying of course. She called her specifically because she wanted to go with her. The line went silent for a moment, so Memori asks if she's still there. Hinata, on the other hand, started touching. I think. Remembering what happened last night, she started freaking out, which some people took notice. How unfair it is on how Memori can ask her something like that so casually while she needs a long time to the point where their ship is at the dock and Memori is the one who's obliviously progressing it. And I guess that's a part of what Hinata likes of Memori. While she's still there gathering attention from passerbys, her phone rang. It was from Memori saying she's almost there. Hinata then blushes and asks herself if Memori would say that she's cute. After a while, Memori finally came. She greets Hinata and asks if she waited long. Hinata didn't answer her question but got very close to Memori, looks at her closely, and yells that she's cute, which made Memori startled. Hinata then describes each and every single thing that makes her clothes look cute on her with her braided hair that made her more adorable. All thanks to my wife, who knows how to coordinate her lil sis's outfit. Memori is starting to get embarrassed by Hinata's compliments, so she tries to get the date started but cuts her off because she's not done yet. Hinata tells her that she just barely scratched the surface of her cuteness, but Memori forcefully stops her from continuing. She tells her that they should go to the theater already because they haven't even picked a movie yet. Which Hinata agreed, embarrassed, coming back to her senses. When they got to the cinema, Memori asks Hinata what she wants to watch. She's hesitant at first, but Memori tells her that since she invited her, they should go with whatever she wants. Hinata asks her if it's really fine, then points. Okay, I'm not really into horror. And same with Memori, feeling the same, who's shaking, asking herself if they're really gonna watch this one. But she didn't say anything, and they were already seated waiting for the movie to start. Memori, trying to act fine, nervously asks Hinata if she's into horror. Hinata confirms it. She says she likes scary things, or rather the anticipation that something's about to happen. Hinata then asks Memori if she's not good with horror. Memori wants to try to act fine again, but came out and says yes. Hinata apologizes because she didn't know, but Memori reassures her, saying she likes unusual stories too. After that, as the movie is about to start, Memori grabs Hinata's attention and hesitantly asks her if she can hold her hand. It took a while for Hinata to process what Memori asked for her, then blushes, not believing what she just said. Memori didn't wait for her answer and just hold her hand tightly, which made Hinata turn red. She tries to make sense of the situation and calls for her Memori-senpai. But Memori is scared as hell and tells her to never let go. Not really having a choice and her brain probably cooked, she stutteringly says yes. Coming out of the movie, Memori became lively again, saying that it was mad scary. But it was super fun too. Watching a horror movie once in a while isn't so bad. Hinata, on the other hand, is playing with her hand. She wobbles as she's walking with Memori, screaming in her mind that she couldn't focus on the movie at all. Memori then tells her that since they're already here, she asks if she wants to hit up the arcade. Hinata wasn't paying attention just now, but she still said yes. They look at the rewards for a while, with Memori saying that they can do a lot of stuff with the reward tickets. Hinata, on the other hand, noticed that it can also be exchanged with a photo booth. As she's about to tell her senpai something, Memori just runs excited to play. After they had their fun, Memori decided to exchange her winnings with some more tokens used to play with. Hinata also wonders if she should exchange hers with tokens too, but then someone called for her attention. It was the typical pickup guys you see in every anime. One of the guys complimented Hinata while the other asks what she's doing, if she's waiting for someone. They both ask if she wanted to hang out with them. And as our female heroine is getting uncomfortable, suddenly our protagonist came that's going to save her, thanking her for waiting. But Memori doesn't know what's happening and cheerfully asks Hinata if she knows them as she's looking at the guys. The guys then looks at Memori and got charmed by her cuteness. They pounce on her, telling her she's a pretty lady damn, and asks if they can get her digits. Memori then went silent as the guys is nervously waiting for her answer.
And it
Actually worked. Wow. She passed through the guys and calls for Hinata, thrilled that they're trying to riz her. She goes back to praising herself on how much of a total cutie she is, and as expected that she'd be catcalled. The guys are still waiting for her answer. But Memori apologizes as she grabbed Hinata's hand, then tells the boys that they're currently on a date. Hinata got surprised by Memori's statement. Memori hands over the tokens and pulls Hinata away, parting from the guys, greeting them goodbye. The two guys look at each other for a moment. Then, just like me, they totally support Yuri as we see the little Memori dragging Hinata away. As the two is walking, holding hands, Memori apologizes to Hinata. She tells her she said they're on a date to get those guys to back off. As Memori is realizing that what they're doing is a date, Hinata shyly calls for her name. Seeing Hinata turning red, she asks if she's alright. She then saw her still holding her ticket, which she didn't have a chance to exchange. Memori asks if she wants to go back and exchange it. But finally, Hinata mustered up some courage, then asks Memori to go take a picture together. Memori tries to refuse her, saying she's never been in a photo booth before and it's kinda embarrassing. But Hinata loudly pleaded with her. Then cutely says that she wants a picture with her as a memento from their date. Hinata finally made Memori skip a beat and agrees to go. After the date, we see Hinata looking at their pictures that they took together. She was glad that she went out with her Mememori-senpai today. Plus, she got a picture together with her, which made her happy. She then recalls the way she asks Memori to take a photo with her. Then cringes at herself, saying that was super embarrassing. As she is still cringing, her phone rang. It was from Memori. And seeing that, she recalls what happened earlier. Memori thanks Hinata for today, with Hinata thanking her back for inviting her. But before they part ways, Memori calls out Hinata one last time, saying she forgot to tell her something. Memori forget to tell her that she is super cute today. Yuri. 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 The story continues with someone finished being dolled up. It was Hinata. She got amazed by how cuter she became looking at herself in the mirror. She thanks my wife, Tsukasa-san, for helping her with her look today, with Tsukasa appreciating her gratitude. Tsukasa-san then does her killer move, holding someone by the chin and look at the person's eyes. Tsukasa says to Hinata that she looks great. But Hinata cooked her brain and responds with yes. The three also came in. Memori asks if she's done and Kyo-chan complimenting Hina-chan, while Kasugi only came in because her younger sister didn't put on her hair clip decoration. As Kasugi is putting on Kyoko's hair ornament, Hinata thanks Kyo-chan for asking Tsukasa-chan to help them. With the girls ready to go, Memori asks everyone to get going, but Hinata got confused. She asks the two who's in casual wear if they aren't going to dress up. They both confirm it. Memori then says that yukatas are like super hard to move in. And with a tight sash, she can't really pig out. But as she's saying there's no need for her to wear one, someone's hand grabbed her shoulder. It was her big sis and coldly tells her that she's wearing one. Memori, scared and having no choice, just says yes. And that is the intro to this next chapter. Fireworks Festival. In the next scene, they are already at the festival. We see the two dazzling, but both are not happy with their getup. Kyoko asks what's the big deal. And seeing her, she already started eating some ikeyaki, which his older brother immediately took notice. The siblings started walking first, with Kasugi asking her younger sister if she remembers to bring some money, but Kyoko just tells him that she thought his very caring brother would be treating her today. Kasugi got angry at her, but at least he didn't deny it. The other two, on the other hand, are in the back. Memori is smirking at the siblings, probably thinking she might also get a chance to extort Kasugi. Hinata, on the other hand, is thinking of something. She asks herself, what should she do? She can't get over what happened and what she experienced in their date, that she has no clue what to talk about. She started overthinking, not knowing what to do. Then finally snapped back as Memori is gradually making her voice louder for her to bring her back. Memori, then worried, tells her that if she keeps spacing out, she's gonna get left behind. Hinata went silent for a moment and then suddenly called for Memori. Hinata tells Senpai that her yukata looks great on her. Memori smiles hearing her compliment and replies that hers too. And here we see the group touring each stall. Kyoko having 2 choco banana, which made Kasugi worry. I don't know what this is, but they're having fun. And finally, the Squid Game cookie challenge. Memori then made a serious face as she said a no-no word, because she was having so much friggin' fun. Kasugi then belittles Memori for being acting hyped in a festival when she's already a high schooler. But we see Kasugi also being childish, flexing his prizes and stuff, which she called him out for. Memori then asks where did he got the sword. Kasugi tells her that he won it at the shooting gallery over there. He even said that there are video game prizes too, which made Memori surprised and her gamer sister also taking notice. They then immediately dashed away, going to check it out, not hearing what Kasugi is about to say. Kasugi just let them be, then asks Hinata what should they do. If she wanted to follow them, but Kasugi sees that Hinata is concentrating on doing the hardest cookie, which he also just let her be. Going back to the other two, they got too excited that they forgot to ask Kasugi where the shooting gallery is located, so they just kept on walking further to hopefully find it. Then here's someone who is complaining in a formal manner. It was Princess asking the vendor to do another try and also see that it's the shooting range Kasugi talked about. Kyoko greeted Princess first with Memori greeting her too and happy that she's having fun. Princess got surprised she saw some familiar faces. Then tries to lie again that she only wanted to play since her 10th sister wanted one of the prizes. Memori calls her out on her obvious lie again. Then asks her which prize does she want. Princess became shy, but truthfully says she wants that magic wand. Memori asks if that's all she wants. Princess realizing what she's going to do, she tries to say it's fine. But Memori hit the "I'm about to make the female heroine blush for me" pose and tells her to not sweat it and every prize she wishes will be shot down. By Kyoko, that is. She then shoves the gun to Kyoko with her confused being asked to do it. Memori then begs Kyoko since she's good at it, but just teases her like she doesn't feel like doing it. She then coaxes her some candy-coated fruit later on. Kyoko tries to act like she had no choice. But it's obvious that Memori's bribe worked. As Kyoko is preparing to play, Princess pulls Memori aside and asks her if it's really fine. Memori assures her, puts her arm in her shoulder, and tells her to just watch. As Kyoko is adjusting her aim, the vendor asks if she can really shoot straight. Then with her cold, expressionless face, she just says easy picking. She shot the light sword Memori wants, the video game she wants, then the magic wand Princess wants. And with that she had a victorious expression with the vendor ringing the bell as he shouts that we've got a big winner. The two watching her complimented her for her incredible shooting with Kyoko doing a peace sign, telling them to freely praise her more. The vendor also complimented her as he's giving her the prizes she won, saying she's a true marksman. And before leaving, he asks for her name. The Silver Wolf. She dashes away as the vendor shouts that he'll never forget it. Princess got awestruck by her while Memori wonders since when is she calling herself that. On the other side, Hinata finally finished carving the umbrella. Then realizes that she was all alone and wonders where did everybody go. Kasugi then came back carrying drinks. He gave the other one to Hinata as she's apologizing for getting into it and losing track of everything, but Kasugi tells her to not worry about it. She thanks Kasugi as she sips on the drink while Kasugi wonders where Memori and her sister went since they gotta go get a spot for the fireworks soon. Then someone unexpected called out to the two. It was Tsukasa with the manager saying the manager invited her. She then asks where Memori and Kyoko went. Hinata replies that they went to look at the stalls. After that she sees Kasugi trying to not make eye contact. She then calls out his name, which made him jump up. Tsukasa closes up to her and teasingly asks if he ever did find someone else he likes. Kasugi tries to evade the question by feigning ignorance. Then exposes him, saying she seems to remember a certain elementary school boy who confessed to her. Wow! Kasugi screams, then whispers to her to pleadingly forget about it, and even Memori doesn't know about it, but Tsukasa just teases him more. The other two, hearing what she said, had mixed reactions. The manager is giggling while Hinata is shocked. While the two future in-laws are still chatting with Kasugi, surprised that she didn't reject him, and Tsukasa confused if she ever did. The manager asks Hinata if she has someone she likes. But Hinata immediately replies she doesn't. Then turns red as she takes a second thought at what the manager asked. The manager, seeing her expression, already know the answer, so she asks her to spill the tea already, with Hinata hesitating at first, but in the end, shyly tells her. After a while, the two came back with Princess tagging along. Memori waving her sword, Princess mesmerized by her magic wand, and all thanks to the satisfied Kyoko who bagged some more prizes. Princess then finally looked up and see Kasugi and Tsukasa. Then shoves Kasugi aside to get closer to Tsukasa. With them grouping up together again, it became livelier because more people joined in. And with that they went to find a spot. In the next scene we see fireworks already exploding. Hinata is amazed while Memori got surprised by the noise, and Kyoko, as always, is Kyoko. Kyoko then asks his big brother how did he find this great spot. Kasugi proudly says that he did a lot of preparation for today. Tsukasa then came in and teasingly asked Kasugi if he would have brought his girlfriend here if he had one. And the more that I read this, the more I realized, this guy is in a harem. Kasugi again shyly tells her to stop making fun of him. But then Princess saw that they're talking again. and see that they started arguing in the background, and while they're at it, Hinata calls out for her senpai. She thanks her for inviting her today. She reminisced about the very first time he interacted with her. And she never imagined that. With her. And with everyone else. That they'd all see the fireworks together. Never in a million years. Memori agrees. And she jokingly says she never thought she'd become a cute girl too, which made Hinata giggle agreeing. Memori then tells Hinata that they should come back again next year, which she agrees. And after the festival, Kasugi asks all of them if they finished their summer homework, but the rest except Hinata turned their heads. I'm surprised the second best in their class didn't. And that's the end of this chapter. The story continues with the end of summer break and the start of the new school term. Kasugi stretches as he remembers what he did over summer break. The time he and Memori had a private bath together. And the festival they went last time. He decided to brag about it over the guys in class. He then worries about Memori if she remembered to switch to her winter uniform because it's gonna get cold now since she's the type to totally forget. And right as he's thinking about her, Memori finally came. She tells Kasugi that she forgot that they had school today and also see that she's still wearing a summer uniform, which made his suspicion come true. And that is the intro to this next chapter. Kasugi, like a boyfriend, a gentleman, and a bro, unquestioningly removed his jacket and gave it to her girl with Memori thanking him. He says at least it's not like last year where she completely forgot they even had school. With Memori agreeing, she ended up not coming until noon. Kasugi reminds her that they're already second years and tells her that she really needs to get her act together. He then got mesmerized at Memori as she's putting on his jacket, replying to his scolding. Then suddenly hugs Memori tight, asking to marry him, which made Memori surprised. In the next scene, we are already at the school. Their homeroom teacher concluded the homeroom. Tells everyone that summer is now over and to start studying again. And since health class is next, he asks everyone to change into their gym clothes and go to the infirmary when called. And as the bells rung for the next subject, Memori woke up from the noise. She looks at some people walking somewhere and asks if something's happening today. Kasugi scolds her for not paying attention in class, then tells her that they're having their physical exams today. She grumbled hearing today's activity. Then sighs as she says that her height and weight barely change every year, so there's no point in doing it. Kasugi just replies, "Dude, you're seriously saying that?" After a while, we're already at the infirmary. A student bows thanking someone as he's exiting the infirmary. He was thanking the school nurse. She grabs her shoulders as she complains her shoulders have been so stiff lately and wonders if she should drop by the chiropractor on the way home. But decided not to. Why, you ask? Her favorite yaoi manga is out today and needs to savor the special pre-order edition she bought when she gets home. After that, she continues her job and asks for the next person to come, who's also going to be the last of the boys, and his name is Mememori-kun. And as she's got reminded of what happened to Memori, she came in, greeting the doctor casually. She looks at Memori closely and asks if she's Mememori-kun. Memori confirms, then sees that she's curious about her, so she points at herself, smiles, and tells the nurse that her body just randomly became female. Then casually thanks the teacher for taking a look at her. But the nurse is still questioning how did it even happen. She thinks that this kind of stuff are like something straight out of a manga. The nurse then sees her fluffy hair, clear and sharp eyes. She resembles the photo of himself when she was still a guy. The school nurse then stares intently at Memori, which made her nervous. So she asks the nurse to start the examination. The nurse broke from her thoughts and apologizes. She just puts aside her questions for now and to first focus on her job. And with that, they started with measuring Memori's height. The mark tapped Memori's head and see that her height is 152 centimeters. Memori got surprised by her new height and says she shrunk a whole 20 centimeters, which made the school nurse also surprised. She then thinks that if someone's gender change, then their body also changes drastically, which is amazing. The nurse then instructs Memori to go in the weighing scale. And with her in the scale, she says that she also became way lighter, which made the school nurse jealous. After taking her measurements, Memori thanks the teacher again, but before going back to class, the school nurse wanted to ask Memori some questions and excuses it as counseling. Memori plops down to a seat as the teacher thinks that it's time for the real event and her to spill the beans. She takes a moment, then questions her. If your body could not revert back to the way it was, what would you do? Memori thinks at her question and takes a moment to answer her. She tells the nurse that she isn't much of a deep thinker. Her body might change back someday, but it might also never go back. All she knows is that no matter her appearance may be, she's still her. He's him. We then see a full-page panel of Memori smiling at the nurse saying, "But anyways, I've only got one life. It'd be a shame if I didn't enjoy it to the fullest." The teacher tries to hide her smile, praising Memori in her mind of how amazing she is. She thinks she has such a stellar mindset. And she's the perfect gender-bent girl she always wanted to see. Memori, noticing the school nurse is silent, got worried and thinks if her answer was too pretentious. The school nurse fixed herself, then wanted to ask Memori another question. She blatantly asks Memori if any boys have confessed to her. Memori slightly blushes as she questions her question. The nurse lost it being a fan of yaoi and tells her that she's so cute now, surely there's been at least one or two. But Memori repeatedly says no. There's no way. Since she's still a guy on the inside. The nurse then became disappointed. Even though she became such a cute girl, no boys tried to ask her out. Which Memori also agrees with her. So like she's down then. She tells the school nurse that nothing like that happened so far, then deases the guys for having no taste, with the nurse calling it a shame. As the school nurse is drinking her coffee, Memori got reminded about her best friend who loves to joke about it. Bruh, she thinks Kasugi's just joking. That's sad. She spits out her coffee as Memori says his best friend is always saying that they should get married. The nurse calmly puts down her cup, then faces Memori. She came close to Memori and got super excited again, asking her to spill the tea, sis. Memori tries to tell her that it's just a joke, but the school nurse insisted on hearing the details, which made Memori question if this is really counseling. After a while, Memori came back. Kasugi greets her, then sees that Memori is exhausted and drained from the whole thing, which made him worried. After slumping down to her table and explaining what happened to Kasugi, he tells her that it makes sense that she'd be questioned a ton. She says that the physical exam and counseling was expected, but the other stuff are sus. Kasugi then went red and thinks of the most wow thing possible. But Memori just tells him to keep dreaming. Kasugi got relieved it wasn't what he was thinking. Then Memori got reminded of some things. She straight up asks Kasugi if he likes her. He got surprised, then questions her with that sudden question. But Memori explains that he's always asking to marry her. Kasugi then asks if she told the nurse that, with Memori agreeing because the conversation just went that way. After the conversation with the nurse, she ponders and says, "I always thought that it'd be the same no matter what I look like. But then I realized that I might end up changing more than just physically. Like maybe I'll fall in love with you." She turns away from him, then bluntly says there's no way, which shocked Kasugi. Memori tells him that she's his best friend in quotation mark. Kasugi went sad, fighting back his tears like an abandoned puppy. Memori, on the other hand, destroys Kasugi further by saying if she had to go out with a guy, she'd rather hook up with someone handsome. Kasugi asks her if she's just messing with him, but Memori just teasingly answers him and tells him to chill out. The nurse, on the other hand, is watching the spectacle, praising Memori, saying she's the best. And that is the end of this chapter. There's actually some extras, but I decided to not add them because... Oh my god. Why is it like that? It's not put on properly. And bro, I know you're a guy, but like... Anyways, this is also sadly the last chapter for now. But at least it's still kinda ongoing. Last update was 2 years ago. But the author is still active on Twitter, so... Yeah. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to help me get 1,000 subs. Stay safe out there. And bye bye.